It's beautiful, it's fun, it's exciting, it's full of opportunities to learn, grow, travel, learn languages, represent your culture, learn a new, etc., etc. But with that said, there's also a lot of darkness, and you don't know about it until you get into the market. Hello, my name is Stacey Klinge. I am the owner and founder of EDU Passport, and I'm from the States. However, my suitcase and passport know me very well, so I am a global citizen.
And where are you at the moment?
I'm currently in Silicon Valley working on a partnership with EDU Passport.
Awesome.
So,
Good luck. So, tell
thank
me a
you.
little bit about Edu Passport. Well, first of all, how did you get the name Edu Passport?
Great question. Way back when, and we can talk about the story soon, we were called ESL Passport because my story started in the ESL industry. And when the idea came, I was focused on the ESL industry. After we had our first version of ESL Passport out there, we had a lot of feedback from all sorts of education entities saying, can I use it too? This is great. Can I use it too? And we found ourselves basically digging our own grave by giving it a name which limited us. So whenever we went global, whenever we left the boundaries of our first country base, we decided to do a rebranding and call it Edu Passport to facilitate what we can do for education. So that's
Yeah,
the
why
name.
why put yourself in a corner when you can go for the mass market?
Exactly. From a business perspective, it's brilliant. I did not have my coffee the first time I made the business name, but with this name, we are actually people feel this is for me. I can work with this, and it's global, and it connects, and it helps us communicate actually how global and large we are. So it's a good name.
Well, that brings me on to my next question, which is why did you start, well, I guess ESL Passport in the first place and then went on to Edu Passport? What was the moment that made you think that the world needs Edu Passport?
Do you want the quick version or the the real version?
Well, which
The
one would I'll leave it up to
which
you.
one's
You can give it a quick version or the
mhm.
real version.
Well, depending on who's listening or watching this clip, um, you can identify or not identify. So if you have been or know any educators who've taught abroad, specifically in ESL, but just being an expat teacher, an educator living in a different country, it's beautiful, it's fun, it's exciting, it's full of opportunities to learn, grow, travel, learn languages, represent your culture, learn a new, etc., etc. I'm advertising for you to go join your state department and your local governments right now. But with that said, there's also a lot of darkness, and you don't know about it until you get into the market. And you actually don't know about it until you are knee deep into the industry, loving all the beauties, and then you start to see the uglies. And unfortunately, the uglies or the dark side of these industries are not cross, what's the word? They're not cross industry. And so they are not common in other industries. They're not even common in education in the domestic world. They're very unique for the global market. And because of the high transit community of these educators who are international, there's nobody stopping the issue and evolving and changing. So there's actually a lot of corruption, scam, and legal issues that come up and they never get dealt with. They all often just say, well, my bad, I got in a bad situation. But it's a very common story. So common that me and my friends, my expat friends, used to meet up and bond over our very common daily interactions with these issues. So it's unfortunate. After I had faced a very real and serious yet common issue, I called my local embassy and I said, "Help me, please." And the woman on the phone, I'll never forget, "Sweetie," she called me sweetie. "Sweetie, oh, that would be about a 3 month waiting list to even talk to anybody. So good luck." And she hung up the phone. And I remember thinking, what? And after that experience, I said, you know what? I think I'm done with this country and I'm done with teaching. So I went to another country and I did some administrative work instead. And through that process, I got to see the beauty of that culture. I got to see the beauty of running the schools and whatnot, and managing and being a part of the admin staff. Unfortunately, also in that culture, as well as that expat industry, as well as that side of business, not the teaching part, but the running the business part, you got to see another side of the coin, which was also equally beautiful, but also equally dark and ugly. And so after that situation, um, I had a medical emergency that put me in a situation where I just had to think and stare at the ceiling for a while. And in
Yeah.
that situation, I thought, this is so messed up. This is so messed up. And I kept thinking about the problem. And one day I woke up thinking, it shouldn't be like this. This is common sense. No other industry has this problem. It's our industry, and it's this niche that has this problem. So ESL Passport was created with that in mind. And that concept then turned into defining what we do. And I could say a lot of big tech words, I could say a lot of academic words, but in short, we are a community, we're a platform for global education. And that
Mhm.
can be idiot proof related to we're the LinkedIn, but for education. We're the glassdoor.com, but for education. We're the indeed.com, but for education. We are the very 2024 modern education job board. We're the modern way to do things in international education. And we are growing and growing in different countries right now in the domestic education world as well. They are very different from the international, but we are able now to take these very common issues and just basically prevent them. And the people who were making issues prior, we're not shaming them. We're just saying, okay, thank
Yeah.
you. That's the way it was done. It's now going to change.
Time for a
Let's show
new
you how. So
horizon.
we're giving everybody an equal opportunity. Exactly. Because in some ways it wasn't bad, it was just the way it was done.
Hmm.
And so we're not going to shame them or blacklist them or all these kinds of things. But instead, we're going to say, okay, no, we're going to show you how and we're going to support you. And I think we're getting a lot of respect in the community because of that. We are making change, proper change in motions of each side, the educator and the business, and evolving the whole industry. So, long answer, short, I had a personal experience. It was wrong, it was dark, and I thought of how other industries don't have this problem. So, why should we?
Awesome. And is it possible to go into any details of the dark stories of trying to find a job or
Absolutely.
working abroad as an educator?
Absolutely. My experience is mostly in East Asia. I'm going to be honest. There's a lot of the world I don't know. There's a lot of the world that has different beauties and darknesses in this exact industry. And our team is filled with those people because I don't have that to contribute. And, it's a global business. So, unfortunately, in East Asia, there are so many beauties and so many amazing things to celebrate and talk about. They are often shadowed by some of the practices in this industry and maybe even practices of the cultures that just don't come off well. But mostly, the culture is culture. That's an exciting, different thing. But to speak specifically about the unethical things and the habits that were happening in East Asia. Some things transcend borders, some things don't, but some very trendy, darkness in South Korea is when you show up to an airport, you can be left at the airport from a scout being there and observing you arriving. And if you are too dark in your skin color, if you are too fat, if you are too weird, if you are too something, you can be left there. And
Really?
that's one
I'm
half of it. Absolutely.
That is really, really. I've never
Absolutely.
heard of this. I feel like this would be really, really interesting to explore because I don't think many
Yeah.
people know about this element of
That's just
society or
one of a
culture in
hundred.
South Korea.
It's just, but then it has a second part that gets a little darker. And so that's already dark. You actually
Hmm.
pay your own way to get there and it's reimbursed. And your visa's processed when you land, or at least mine was. And so it's a risk you're going there. They may cover a flight, but they may expect you to pay it back if whatever. So you show up, you're not to their expectations, You could be left there. And then they could be in that this could be their own operations, or it could be a third party where they say, hey, we have someone we don't want, go pick them up. And so you get a call, oh, we no longer want you. And you're upset, you're holding your life on your back, and you're just, oh no, I'm stuck at the airport, silly me. And then swoops in this really kind recruiter who says, oh, you poor thing, I can give you a job. And you're so upset and you're so desperate and you're
Hmm.
concerned about your well-being that you just take it. And they then give you very poor and at times unsafe, um, what's it called? Contracts and
Contracts, yeah.
agreements. Okay, so
Hmm.
you will work for far less. You will work far more. You will
Hmm.
live in absolutely the corner of nowhere, and they will give you subpar living standards. So some of them are unhealthy, and unfortunately, my scam was not that. Fortunately, mine was not that. My scam was slightly different. I agreed to a city. I saw the pictures of the apartment. I saw the business, and I got there. And they said, I called. They said, I'm here. Hi, come find me. And they go, okay, great. Now go get a bus and go to this place. I said, what?
Hmm.
I'm in the place. I landed in the city. Go, no, no, no. You now need to go get a bus and take a 4.5 hour journey to us. And I was like, whoa. It was 11 p.m. at night I
Oh
arrived. I
my
came from the
God.
States, so it was quite a 27, 29 hour journey, something like that. 23, maybe. I forget. I've
Hmm.
lived in a few different countries.
Yeah.
And I arrived there. It was my first country to live abroad, and it was all the Hangul, the Korean language. It was very whoa. So thankfully, somebody kind of helped me. They typed it out, and I showed I need this ticket, and basically they just grabbed me by the shirt and said, "Let's go, you
Oh
foreigner,
my
you silly
God.
foreigner, let's go." And they threw me on a bus, and this is the type of bus that, like many countries, they kind of drive and they stop with the doors open, waiting for somebody to stand up and say, "This is my stop." I didn't know, so I just said, "Oh no." My parents were right. I shouldn't have done this. And I just kind of sat with my backpack and fell asleep. And yeah, and so I arrived. It was dawn in this village, and I got off the bus thinking, okay, this is the terminal. And I hear my name, Stacey, and I was like, oh my God, thank God.
So it's just
And
a coincidence that you managed
I
to
said,
get to the
okay,
right.
this is where I'm supposed to be.
It's just a coincidence that the bus
It was a
stopped
coincidence. I had
at
no
the right
idea.
stop.
There was, well, it was, I had no knowledge that that was my terminal, was my exit. I had no
Hmm.
knowledge of that. And there was no communication to be had to figure that out. Um, So once I arrived, I got picked up, put in a car, driven to this farmhouse in a rice paddy field,
Hmm.
and they said, "There's another foreigner inside. Go meet them and get ready for work." So I went inside, and there was a British lady, and she said, "Hey, we have school in an hour, so here's the hot water, here's your room." And I'm like, what? I just got off the plane. And immediately I was asked to go teach. And I had no training in teaching. I was just shoved into a classroom.
Oh my
And
God.
this is day
This is
one.
a
This
real
is day
horror
one.
story.
And this is normal in this market,
Hmm.
actually. And even on top of that, I was put into a classroom of kindergarten, kindy babies, I guess is what some call them.
Hmm.
And these beautiful children, they looked at me and they screamed and they cried and they cried and they screamed. I didn't say anything. I just walked in. And it turns out, and I was asked to leave the classroom. And it turns out, because of my eye color, I don't know if you can see,
Uh-huh.
I have green eyes.
Yeah.
And because of my eye color, they thought I was a monster because in their books, the monsters have yellow or green eyes. And so these little babies, they thought
Hmm.
I was a monster going to eat them. And
Oh
so
my
they
God.
freaked out and they had to sit and teach the kids over the course of a week. I'm not a monster. I'm from somewhere else. And because of the rush, 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 it was traumatizing, I think, for everybody involved. Uh, but then that night, again, first day there, first 24
Hmm.
hours there, I'm exhausted, obviously. So I go to sleep. It's freezing in the house because it's a farmhouse. It's different than what I'm used to. The heat's on the floor, all these kinds of
Hmm.
things. But I come to find out we don't have gas and it hasn't been paid in a while. So just layer up on the coats. And that led to many incidents of being very ill and
Hmm.
also my roommate having to go into work teaching with an IV in her arm because she was catching, I don't know exactly, but pneumonia and having
Yeah.
to take care of herself. And this was a very normal experience. Everyone has
Wow.
different ones, but that is my personal first 24 hours.
That
And
is
it
insane.
turned into, I have even more.
I can imagine.
Yeah. So
But
that's my,
now I'm beginning to
yeah.
build a
And so
picture of
thinking,
why Edu Passport is so necessary.
absolutely.
Because,
And then even on my wrist here, I have tattooed in
hmm,
Korean, Sutori. So it's
hmm,
phonetically Sutori. And so here it tells me my story. This reminds me of that awful 24 hours. This reminds me of that awful year. And it helps me build this business that's very difficult to build because people don't know it's needed. People don't know its power until they see it. And so I look at my wrist as I work and I say, it's my story. This is a normal
hmm,
story and no one should have this story. Korea is too beautiful. The people are too beautiful.
hmm.
This should not represent that culture. And that's just one of very many experiences that should not happen. And it doesn't represent probably one of the most beautiful cultures I've ever been in. So
So, so I guess the end goal of Edu Passport is that that would never have to happen once you have a site that.
the end goal would be instead of me going to, I would say the site, but I would very much not want to be rude. Um, I'd go to a very common, instead of going to a very common website and finding a hyperlink to a random job and getting instant tickets and a job, I would now invite people and I now could have a story where I could go to a vetted place, see their profile, see their reviews, see their stuff, maybe even see if they're verified or not. And at least with that very simple step, I could find something safe. And on top of that, I wouldn't have to just type in, show me my options. And I'm
Hmm.
just bombarded with options. Some are fake, some are real, some are scams, some are beautiful. And instead, I can now go to a website very simply and I can type in like a flight
Hmm.
website. I want to go to this destination. I like the window seat. I, whatever, a la carte. I now want people to say, listen, I'm a female, I'm male, I don't identify, whatever.
Hmm.
And with that said, now show me my options. Don't give me drama later. Show me what I qualify for.
Hmm.
I am this nationality. Show me what I qualify for. I have this education. Show me what I It's not about a game. It's more facts and filters. And then I
Hmm.
can say what I want. Like, look, I love the kids. Personally, I love the kids. They're cute, but I can't do it every day. I am not one of those angels who can do that. I cannot.
Hmm.
I like teaching adults. I like really, it's my gift more so. So I would set a preference now of adults and I would set a preference of topics. I'd set a preference of location and I could now find something that I would have a lower bounce rate, I guess you could say, or a lower chance of having a difficult conversion time.
Hmm.
And I have this way businesses can guarantee me more success in staying and their investments going further and vice versa. So there's just a lot of benefits with just one feature of our platform to provide safety and security and peace of mind, honestly.
Awesome. Perfect. And I guess just to now take you out of your teacher and your education background and into your business person background. So we've got the origin story, which
Yeah.
is really nice and puts Edu Passport firmly.
I'm very like on edge now because of that story.
Oh,
But
really?
it
I'm
shows.
sorry.
Yeah, I'm like a little triggered here. But you know what, it's a real thing because being in it is just horrible. And
Hmm.
now looking back, even seeing where EduPassport is now and still where we want to go, it's so inspiring at the same time to say that I remember now why,
Hmm.
and I remember now what we can do. And our team knows that, and we remember that. But it's another thing to sit here and tell my private story, and to
Yeah.
think, wow, what we are offering now is actually going to take care of people. So
Yeah,
it's
I think it's going to be
whew,
really useful for people to hear it because, it makes it so clear why it's so necessary. And when you think about how many teachers, I think I read, well, actually made a video today about there's 250,000 English natives alone teaching abroad at any given time. So there's so many people that could benefit from this, and there's so many people open to exploitation
not only
as.
that, but let's be honest, I am from the States. That
Hmm.
opens a few more doors in this industry of expat ESL. I do have a certain skin color. I do have a certain build or whatever. I'm able to probably get different opportunities than some others or skip some of the drama. But there's a whole world of unethical drama because of the way you look.
Hmm.
And we are trying to showcase this is education. This is about empowering the future and educating and about your skill set to deliver teachings,
Hmm.
not the way you look. And it really is something that some of the most talented educators and gifted educators will face, and it's not right. And some cultures truly believe that it is right. And so, what we want to do is provide information so that people can be informed and not surprised and
Hmm.
traumatized, I guess, as I am
Yeah.
here, because there's a lot of beauty. Again, it's just a lot of ugly too.
And so to put your business hat on now, so now you run a business that's solving the problem that you've just described. To sum it up, what would you say are the pros of running an edtech business, and what are the cons?
Okay, I think the pro and con very easily will be very much the same. It is uncharted waters. So in our ed tech business, let me reframe that. Okay,
Hmm.
the pros and the cons actually contribute to similar things. One being our business model is something we call a blue ocean business model. And this is a business model that simply says it hasn't been done before. So there'll be a lot of opportunities for teaching what you do and people not understanding just because it doesn't exist yet. What's interesting though is we're a blue ocean business model in education, not in the world. So if we say go to LinkedIn, you understand that. Go to Skyscanner to find your flight, you understand that. However, in an education, you go, so you're a school? No.
Hmm.
So you're a recruiter? No. Like it doesn't compute because this doesn't exist yet. So our biggest opportunity in pro is that we are a blue ocean, meaning we can do anything and it's going to be okay because it's new to everybody anyways. And we can really push the limits and we can really do things to make differences. We can have partnerships with Apple. Um, we can get Jack Ma and we can come and see if he can support us. Like, there's all sorts of things we can do
Hmm.
because we represent the industry, not one niche of it. The con is at the same time, in the same breath of that energy and excitement of no glass ceiling,
Hmm.
it is very difficult to have an edutech SaaS platform that is a blue ocean because people don't understand. In this world, the education industry is traditional, is limited, is allowing for traditional things to cross generations. And so the cons of being an ed tech is the world only knows what exists. And so us saying we're here and we're awesome and we're exactly what you want and need, you just don't know it yet. That's very difficult to market and to explain because again, they say, are you fitting into this box? We go, no. So you're fitting into this box. We go, We are all the boxes. So it's very much a pro and it's exciting and it's thrilling, but it is a con. And it does cause me to drink a lot of coffee because we want to do our best to support everybody and they need to understand and meet us. So,
Yeah, well, that's one of the key things about Edu Passport is the coffee culture. So it all makes sense.
yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Perfectly on cue.